All right, we'll be not long here. Just visited with the team for my visit with the team. That can happen here in the dressing room after the game, or it can be tomorrow. And so I made it tonight and visited about going forward, visited about looking forward, sharing disappointment, but sharing the fact that in a big way they'll never forget the guys that they're lined up with in that room, the down times and the good times. And that needs to be brought up right now because we're not happy with the outcome of this ball game. I thought we really played with a lot of the kind of energy that you play if you were going to the playoffs. So this game really, energy-wise, tribute-wise, coached-wise, played-wise, was a real tribute to our team and gives me a lot of encouragement going forward.
Jerry, what was your message to Mike McCarthy and what does he mean to you? Well,
I spoke to the whole team, and Mike was in the room with all the coaches and the whole team. And, of course, Mike's one of the best coaches that I think there is. He was made the coach here because I thought that, and he's done absolutely nothing to diminish my opinion of him as a coach. And I am really impressed with the way the players identify, look, are with him. They're inside with him. And that's important. That's important because he's had some times when each one of those players individually as well as a team have not been fun times. And so he's been there in his way for them on an individual basis. He's been there in his way for them on a team basis. And at the end of the day, you know that these are people. All I've got to do is see Bill Bates out here today, and years flash through my mind about days with Bill, a glass of tea or anything like that. There's lots of things that go into being together on trying to win games and win a championship.
As coaches
it's
and their
personal.
families try to make plans for the future, when do you anticipate making some decision about those futures?
I'll follow this kind of the time frame that I've done in the past. That'll be it. So the way that it's evolved in the past will be a time frame, and I can tell you the past is not necessarily consistent in terms of a time frame.
When you said Friday that the hay is in the barn about McCarthy and the coaches, does that mean, have you made up your mind on Mike McCarthy?
No. Well, the point is that all that I'm going to look at, I was answering that question, and that was, does the outcome of this game really impact his future? And I said no. All of the things I'll consider are hays in the barn.
Report came out that you want McCarthy back, but maybe others in the building don't. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I again, at the risk of talking about something that I don't want to talk about at this time, and we've got a lot of work to do, but certainly we're all looking for ways to get better.
5 years ago,
offseason with 22. Cooper Rush's contract instead of play into him down playing today.
I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know about it until I read about it. So nothing at all. Those incentives are in there for the team, and we put them in there so that if someone is, in his case, as a backup quarterback, has to play, they've got the financial incentives, but they're usually put in there because of the people representing him, and they should be. So he did really earn some pretty serious incentives this year.
5 years ago,
What did you think of Trey Lance?
I thought he really played well, and I was really proud of him. I liked the way that he showed delivery on the ball, the arm strength, the way the passes got there, zip on the ball. And then, of course, we all know that if he gets a little room, he can really has a lot of speed and can be a real serious threat that way. And I thought he had a really good outing.
Jerry, 5 years ago with Jason Garrett.
2 weeks ago, why not see Trey Lance sooner?
Well, again, we've Rush, we felt right through the loss of Dak that Rush gave us the best chance to win. And Rush does things out there that the experience factor really makes a big difference. Rush had a lot to do with how good our running game has gone, because he's up there making calls, and our players, our blockers, are listening to information that helps him do a better job in the run game. He does that real fast, real quick. And so you really got some improvement there, really, that I give Rush a lot of credit for.
Jerry,
But
5
if you were
years ago with
eliminated, why not just see Trey Lance a game earlier?
Well-
Give him a little bit more to build on.
Well, I don't know why I bought the Cowboys. I mean, you ask why you do things because last time Rush played well enough to beat Washington, and logic would tell you, well, go with him again. He's a pretty good quarterback to beat Washington with. So, but the way it was there for us to do, we decided to go. Legitimate question, but I don't need to struggle with the rationale on how it happens, because there may not be good rationale. Maybe it's just because we today against this team wanted to take a good look at Lance.
Jerry, 5 years ago with Jason Garrett, the way that situation played out for a week, were you happy with the way that process went? Were you satisfied with that?
Well, two things happened there. We left working with Jason, which was hard. I actually had worked with him almost 15, 20 years. I had never not written a check to a Garrett since I owned the Cowboys, ever. It was always a Garrett on the end of one check, at least, out there. So that was hard to do from a relationship standpoint. And so that gives you an idea, but the process involved a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of spending, looking at options, hearing people's perspective. I'll visit with coaches and players ad nauseum over the next days.
Jerry, when you reflect back on this season, do you have regrets at all about the roster you provided Mike McCarthy and his coaching staff?
Well, I think that's fair. I think that's very fair, and I always provide the roster for the coaches. And so if you don't get there, then you've always got some second guessing. And yes, I second guess myself all the time. And so the answer is yes. We make a lot of decisions. Some of them don't work out as good as others. But the good ones are mine, the bad ones are Steve's.
Considering the way you described Mike's performance when you first came out here, why would you consider making a change?
Again, I don't know that I am considering making a change. It's really what I'm trying to say. I agree with you. And use the complimentary verbiage, or the complimentary talk about him is, I think, fact. I think I can say that about him no matter what I'm thinking or not thinking.
Whether it be Mike or someone else, what do you absolutely need in your head coach next season?
Well, I'm not trying in any way to play a guessing game here with anybody. We've got some work to do, and we need to do some things differently, and we can. And that's usually the case, but we can really do some things differently. And we've got some commitments that we have in place that are real cornerstones of what we ought to consider. For instance, we have players that play a certain way on defense, or we have an offensive lineman. Well, we don't want to go in directions that don't complement their skill level at all. And you say, well, but look way down the future. Well, what you're hearing is a shorter term look at this thing, so you don't want to do anything that makes a roster or nice parts of it, especially heavily committed parts of it, heavy salaries. You want to build everything to that advantage, not undermine it.
Jerry,
So that's a big consideration. In other words, how to maximize where we have really made commitments, and where those commitments we like the status of them. We may have made some that we don't like, so don't go in that direction. But I wouldn't put a coach in here that didn't agree with some of the commitments that we've made in directions we're going with personnel. I just wouldn't do that.
Like some that you don't like. What did you mean by that?
Well, personnel commitments by that.
Yeah.
I may have done personnel decisions that have not borne out like I thought they would. I've done that a few times.
Can you do anything with that now?
Of course you can. You can either, you don't have them anymore, So those are decisions that I look back on. But have we made a lot of decisions in 35 years on personnel that didn't work out? Of course we have. And so I want to meld that up. I don't want to have any decisions made that doesn't take advantage of the assets we have in place.
Jerry, with the decisions,
Whether Mike Zimmer wants to.
Is that enough double talk for you?
What sense do you have of whether Mike Zimmer wants to keep it?
Well, I haven't, being me, I have only thought about whether I want him to keep coaching for the Cowboys, not about what he's thinking. Now, he'll have something to say about it, won't he?
Jerry, with the decisions that you have in the next 5 months, how do you sell hope for the fan base going into next season?
Oh, I think we've got in place some of the best quarterbacking there is in the game. I think we've got the basis of great protection for that quarterback when he's done his best, as we've been the strongest in the offensive line. And I think you saw out there we have the ability to get a running attack going too, because we got it going out there with it. So maybe skeptics and possibly doubts on our in the beginning, but it turned out. That shows you what you'd hope for. So I like where we are there, and I like some of the skill players that we've got on the defensive side of the ball. I like our special teams personnel, and so I see a lot. Man, let me tell you something. I've been with the Cowboys 35 years, and the majority of it don't have the positive prospects ahead that when I look to the future.
Jerry,
The majority of it was less than we've got looking to the future now.
When you
Given
think
the
about the
intense
29
spotlight.
years now that this drought has gone, how does that number, that reality, hit for you?
Well, I always hide from a fact that bothers me. I like to look at the fact that over the last 15, 20 years, we're the sixth winningest team in the NFL. I like that. I don't necessarily, I get to count other things. We all know what I want to do is advance in the playoff, but that's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is get in the Super Bowl and win it. And so it really, for me, is a thought about, well, you can't win a Super Bowl until you advance in the playoff. But you can't win Super Bowls unless you're one of the winningest teams in the NFL, and we have been for the last 15, 20 years,
When you look-
not counting Super Bowl years.
When you look at the head coaches, the 7 head coaches you had during this drought, where do you rank Mike McCarthy?
All right, where he is in the rank, at least where he is in the ranking of the winning coaches in the NFL. I think he ranks there. And didn't he just pass Bill Parcells on wins?
13.
Huh? Didn't he? Okay, well, I'll sure put him right there. I'm not going to say that I'll rank him that much ahead, but they certainly are right there close.
I know you're not afraid of headlines, but given the intense scrutiny about your role as GM, and you're one to talk about, you can look in the mirror, any consideration to finally giving somebody else that title?
No, just no. I bought the team. I think the first thing that came out of my mouth. Anybody here was at that press conference? Okay, somebody asked, did you buy this for your kids? And I said, hell no, I bought it for me. And I didn't buy an investment. I bought an occupation. And I bought something that I was going to do. I was 46. I bought something I was going to do for the rest of my life. And that's what I'm doing. And so, no, the facts are that since I have to decide where the money's spent, then you might as well cut all the bullshit out. That's who's making the call anyway.
What is your message to the people that say, because of that dynamic, you are the problem throughout this drought?
I'd say we're the 6th, 5th, 7th winningest team in the NFL over the last 15, 20 years. And
Jerry, you view this week as more you and Mike trying to get together and make a deal rather than you trying to decide to make a change?
No, I don't want to answer either one of those, but I certainly have to decide.
Jerry, is there a reality?
I mean, it's a given that I've decided if we're sitting down talking about a deal, it's a given that I've decided to in that direction.
So have you
That you'll
decided?
talk about-
Again, no, in answer to your question.
That you'll talk about a deal to extend.
Now, that's what the next few days and weeks are about. Now, founded on everything that's happened this year and everything that's happened over the last 4 years. for there. Not really much different than any time that we've had a year that is over. I've had coaches under contract that I thought we might consider a change, and they were thinking maybe a change under contract. So this business of under or out of contract is not an influencer with me at all.
You're not concerned about other teams?
Well, but that's I wouldn't want a coach here that want to be someplace else.
Would you let any other team talk to him before you make a decision on him? Would you grant permission?
Again, I'm not even for sure that where we are with the technical, what you can do and what you can't do. I think that before you can talk to a coach, you're supposed to know officially, is he still under contract or not? And the facts are he's under contract.
Sure. And the thing, I know you're not going to get into this, but if you determine you want him back, I assume it would be a rather short negotiating period, because if that didn't work out, you would need to move on and get into
I'm sorry, and I'm interrupting you, and I don't mean to, but I've already got the answer. The determining and the negotiation are all in the same motion. Okay, it's one football motion, and so you'll determine if the will is there on both people's part and the terms are there. It's you don't have step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You if you get down to any parts of that or any suggestion that you're about to go there, then you've probably both, whether announced or not, if you were just sitting there with each other, you don't have to say, I think that means you'd like to talk about staying and I'd like to talk about you staying. That's not what happens. You just sit there and give it the kind of consideration that you would. We'll have a talk about that we would have if he had 4 years left under the contract. Same talk.
Has he expressed that he wants to be back?
Again, I don't want to get into that because he's in there so he can speak.
Jerry, is there a reality where Mike is back with a different offensive play caller?
Well, anything is possible. And because of contract status and, most of the fans that I have, most of the fans want everybody to be on the incentive plan. Everybody wants it to be on the incentive plan. And so the more you can have the incentive plan, to me, the better you've got the way sports is aligned with sports and a goal of having accomplishment. And you align that with the financial end of it. For instance, I might say, look, I'm going to pay you this much, but then I'll pay you not any more, and I know you want twice that. But if you get to the playoffs or you win a Super Bowl, I'll give you 5 times that.
But the guy across the street might say, I'm going to give it to you without any escalator.
Exactly, and then you've got a decision. For sure.
But how can he know that if he's not allowed to talk to you until January 14th?
Then I would say go talk. I really would. Okay. Go talk.
So it sounds like you
I just let Zeke do that.
Gotcha.
I don't want anybody here. That's not healthy to have somebody around that wants to be someplace else. Really, it's not. And there's too many ways for everybody to go to be around where you don't want to be.
But is it also healthy, and I don't mean to be combative,
sure.
But is it also healthy to not know where you stand with somebody? The bird in the hand, in other words. How can you want someone to want to stay here if you're not telling them you want them to stay here?
It's called tolerance for ambiguity. The highest, no, exactly. The example is the Mississippi riverboat gambler. He's his most charming. He's his most glib. He's his cleverest. When on the next card, he could get thrown overboard, or on the next card on the boat. That's when he's the best. If you put someone like that and he knows for sure what's going to happen at the end of the night, you won't see his full potential to go. So you've got to have a tolerance for ambiguity to be on the incentive plan. Those that have it are war daddies in a lot of ways.
You have your list ready. If
Do you follow that?
I think so.
Well, I'll clear it up for you if you want to. Okay, but go back and look at it. But the point is, some people work better. Some people don't. Some people have to know that they want the check at the end of the day, and they need to know.
He did that this year, though, Jerry. I mean,
What?
it's on an expiring deal. There was incentives and initiative. If there was an initiative for him to win this year.
Of course. Do we really think that this year, in any way, any place, should be the basis of going forward to next year? Okay, I don't know that this year should be the basis of that. Relative to a contract, how long, all of those kinds of things. I wouldn't say that it is at all, relative to the contract at all. I think it has to do with the situation. I've had all kinds of agreements with coaches and certainly with other employees. My most successful agreements have been when there was less guaranteed and they made more on the incentive plan. That's been the most success I've had with agreements. I think it fits sports very well.
Do you think Mike McCarthy thrives in that kind of situation?
I don't know. I will tell you this. He's got a head start in it by being a coach. So you got a lot of ambiguity with coaches.
you have a list ready if you decide you have to make a change or Mike decides to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I always know coaches and where they've been, and when we go to Mobile, you'll see about 500 of them down there that would love to be on the staff.
If you were all in for 2024, what's the mantra for 2025?
That number got 500's gotten in trouble, but there are
Didn't he win a Super Bowl?
There are that many, and yes, you'll see coaches down there that have had Super Bowl, been on Super Bowl staffs. Absolutely, you do. And there are probably Super Bowl coaches out here right now, given the opportunity, would coach again.
If you were all
In my mind, there are.
If you were all in 2024, what's the mantra for 2025?
Well, I don't know if I can do another check. All in's pretty good with Dak Prescott's. How many 100 million is it?
240?
Okay. Is that enough in for you? Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. Is that enough in? Is C.D. Lamb is enough in? We really went all in with Dak. Okay. We put a cornerstone that we work with here, and we're going to work with in these decisions we're making, work with as we look ahead the next 3 or 4 years. That decision was made when we signed Dak.
Will you talk to Dak about your decisions you have coming up? Will you talk to Dak about the decisions?
Probably not. I'll talk to him about the team. I won't talk to him about a lot of the things that will be talked about, but I'll talk to him about the team. Because he could end up with the boat or thrown off the boat, then he's his best. But he doesn't operate when he knows what's at the end of the day. He operates when there's a big carrot out there and take the risk. And so if he has the wrong card, he's in the river. Now what you have to do to operate that way, you got to be able to swim, because you'll get your ass in the river. You can't play like that and not get in the river some. If your boat gambler gets thrown off the boat,
But is the
because
boat?
he doesn't get the card.
But is the boat still comfy?
But he can swim. Well, nothing comfortable about him. This is the first time I've heard anybody mention comfortable around here. What's comfortable around here?
But I'm saying, maybe he wants to get on another boat.
Well, sure. There is no. I just told you, Zeke just came in and wanted to see if he could get on another boat, and out of the respect and the way I feel about Zeke, I wanted that for him. And
So you're saying if
that
Mike
made
came here and
sense.
said, look, I've
I'm
enjoyed
not
the
saying
time
that.
here.
I'm not saying that.
Hypothetically.
I'm not even saying hypothetically. I'm saying that I wouldn't want anybody coaching that didn't want to be here.
And to be clear, I don't know that he doesn't want to.
Well, but my point is that if he were under contract and said, I can't do it anymore, I want to coach. Okay? You know that in America, you can't keep somebody working for you.
Right?
No, even if you got a contract. Now, where he goes has to reimburse you for your loss, but you can't be made to work where you don't work.
No, I hear that, but my argument is, if you've got him until
Well,
the 14th,
I'm not arguing.
right?
I'm
I
not
hear you,
I'm
but I just want to
really
make sure that I'm
Well,
clear
let
when
me
I'm
be real
conveying
clear.
this.
Let me be real clear. Okay? I wouldn't want anybody under contract to continue working here that didn't want to be here. I wouldn't want that at all. And because I would be concerned about their enthusiasm for doing the job with the Cowboys. So that goes without saying if they didn't want to be here. So just, stop right there. And so anytime I'm going to spend any place over the next weeks ahead, they all want to be here.
But what if he still wants to be
So
here?
I'm just saying, I don't know about him, but anybody I talk to wants to be here.
But if he still wants to be here, but he doesn't know where you stand on it, that could make him want to talk about
I
the
didn't.
team.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, you can assume if I'm talking to them, they want to be here. Just assume it. They wouldn't come. I wouldn't have them come if they didn't want to be here. If I were talking to somebody, or I wouldn't sit down with any coach that we have. I wouldn't sit down and talk to them about their future if they didn't want to be here. Just wouldn't do it. Too many places for everybody to go.
Micah Parsons said he wants to be here. How soon are you going to engage in?
Well, I know this.
conversation?
I'll talk to Michael. I'll talk to him about it. As a matter of fact, I think he's called, and I think he's sitting with me at the Cotton Bowl. So that's probably where we'll do some talking.
You think his enthusiasm helped and his buy-in really helped turn this thing around mid-season when he came back? It felt like there was a different energy in there.
Well, I think Micah Parsons makes a difference. I think Micah Parsons makes his talent makes a difference, and it made a difference out here. I'll take that in real consideration. The fact that he was here and then he wasn't here, and then I'll look at how I feel we got behind the 8 ball when he wasn't here. I'll take in consideration a lot about our entire situation. Michael makes a big difference out there. He's made a difference the last 3 years out there. Made a difference when Dan Quinn was here. So that's a fact. Dak Prescott makes a difference when he's out there. And so if they're not out there, then you've got to factor in that did you have the results you had because they weren't out there? Or do you try to go to something else that needs correcting? And there's no question you'd be really avoiding a fact if you didn't acknowledge that the loss of Parsons and the loss of Prescott, loss of Lawrence, that those kinds of things didn't make a difference. Were they the only reason we didn't have success this year? No, not at all. Not at all. There's many, as you know, there's all kinds of circumstances, or not circumstances, but there are all kinds of elements going on out there. And you want to make sure that when you don't have your running game going, that you don't call all the linemen no good. Because it may not be the running game. It may be something else. It could be the calls that are being made by the quarterback out there. Better make sure that when you get ready to punt the ball and the guy throws it over and it's intercepted and you are trying something on special teams, you better make sure that it was the coach who did that, not the punter that decided to throw it, which was the case. So those are things you can talk about how to do better than that.
Is it important to get Micah's deal done early as opposed to like Dak and CD waiting?
You know, everybody puts a lot of when it's done. What I will tell you, that it absolutely had nothing to do with signing Dak when we signed him and signing Lamb. It had nothing to do one way or the other with their injuries, the good things that happened or the negative things that happened. It had nothing. I've seen people say, well, if it had that digested in and whatever. It makes me wonder if you really think people are that fragile in their mentality or fragile in their personal self. My point is, no, it does not. And a lot of us live life not having all the things buttoned up. And so I don't believe that the timing, what I really would hang your hat on is how much we paid him and what what he needs to be and what he is. That's the big thing. I didn't see him missing one snap at all, and I didn't see Lamb catching one ball over when we signed Dak, or for that matter, when we signed Lamb at all. And I know I've got people who will disagree with that. But I'm not going to alter my time frame in any kind of negotiation over somebody thinking that one of them, if they had been a little more together in training camp, that they would have had a better year.
But does it allow
I don't buy that, and I'll never buy it.
Does it allow you to improve your roster if that's done in March as opposed to January?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily at all. At all. I mean, it's got to have more of a direct aspect to it. Does fixing that faucet out here help us have a better field out here for the team if we've got a problem on the field? No, they're too disconnected. They're too far apart. One really didn't affect the other. So my point is that you can say, look, sun in your eye kept you from signing Dak soon enough. Okay? And you can imagine how much I listen to that. I mean, really, you can.
So you're telling us no curtains
going back
next year.
going back on what you were saying earlier, basically you equated the negotiations and like deciding and then discussions to like a football move or one football move. I know you don't want to get into time frames, but that would logically be in the middle week when you're doing that to decide whether or not this is how you want to.
It doesn't work that way. We will sit down and talk because I'm with them. Now, if I were going to interview somebody and have them come in, someone would have to call and have to see if they're in the country. And I'm being cute, but would have to make an appointment to come see them. Okay, but that's not the way it is around here with the coaches that are on your staff. They're here. I can talk to them in here tonight. And so I'm not trying to be cavalier about it, but it's everything that you see internally. We've got the same amount of time I've always had in talking about the agreements and the contracts. So that's not a am I sensitive about it? Do I want to do a great job about it? Yes, I do. Am I sensitive about whether we're talking at 8 in the morning or we're talking at 8 Tuesday morning or 8 Wednesday morning? No, I'm not at all, because that stuff just happens. You don't have to worry about anybody in here of us having a ability to communicate in a timely way to do it. We're all here in town, so we can. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm not being cavalier or putting not much weight on logistics. I mean, I'm around these guys all the time. And so you don't have to set a time up to talk contract. And you don't necessarily, one way or the other, have to have an agent. And so I'm just saying those are things you think that have got to get in place so that you can say, well, it started. A process has started. It doesn't work that way at all. And so I don't, as we all know, that some of the best teams in this league will lose very good coaches this year. And that's the system. And it's built so that if you're having success, you are likely going to lose coaches. So that's something that seems a little contrary to if you do get fortunate enough to have a good team, you can keep it together. Well, you can't. We've got rules that says people get an opportunity to better themselves in their occupation. Well, if I'm anything, I'm a poster child in America getting ahead and bettering yourself and stepping up the ladder and trying to go. That's how I live there. Okay?
Thank you.